The old courthouse in Montgomery, Alabama, stood like a sentinel of time, its limestone facade weathered by decades of sun and rain. On a humid September morning in 2025, a crowd gathered inside, their murmurs filling the air like static. At the center of it all was Ezekiel Harper, an 81-year-old Vietnam veteran, striding into courtroom 4A with a slow but steady gait. His gray suit was pressed sharp, his shoes gleamed, and a silver star medal glinted on his chest. He carried a leather folder, worn at the edges, and his eyes held a quiet fire. Nobody expected this unassuming man to unravel a legal battle that would leave the room speechless. Judge Evelyn Thornton, a woman in her late 60s known for her ironclad rules, sat at the bench, her glasses perched low. As Ezekiel approached, she looked up, her voice cutting through the hum. "Mr. Harper, remove that medal. This is a courtroom, not a ceremony." The room stilled. Ezekiel paused, glancing at the silver star, then met her gaze. "With respect, Your Honor, this medal is as much a part of me as my name. I wear it for those who can't." Thornton's lips tightened. "Rules are rules. That's a $200 fine for contempt. Now let's move on." The case was a property dispute. A developer, Nathan Caldwell, wanted a narrow strip of land behind Ezekiel's modest homia patch where he'd grown pecan trees for 18 years. Caldwell's lawyer, a slick 30-something named Derek Vance, oozed confidence, armed with surveys and drone footage. Ezekiel, representing himself, stood alone. When Thornton asked if he was sure about proceeding without counsel, he nodded. "Yes, ma'am. I've handled tougher fights." A ripple of skepticism passed through the gallery, but Ezekiel's calm was unshaken. Vance launched into his argument, flashing charts and citing statutes with practiced ease. "The land belongs to my client, plain and simple. Mr. Harper's trees are an encroachment." Ezekiel listened, his folder unopened, until it was his turn. He stood, holding 2 pages. "Your Honor, before we dive into boundaries, I'd like to examine the deed transfer from 1995 to 2004. There's a gap." Vance smirked, but Thornton's brow furrowed. Ezekiel handed the bailiff a document and easement from 1997, granting him rights to maintain that exact strip. The room shifted. Thornton read the easement, her silence heavy. Vance stammered. "That doesn't prove ownership." Ezekiel didn't blink. "I'm not claiming ownership through the easement. I'm claiming it through adverse possession. I've maintained that land, paid taxes on it, and used it openly for nearly 2 decades. Alabama Code, Title 6, Section 5 to 200 supports my claim." The gallery leaned in. Vance's smirk faded. Ezekiel produced more: tax receipts, photos of him planting trees with his grandkids, and affidavits from neighbors. A woman in her 70s, Clara Benson, stood when called. "I've lived next door for 25 years. Ezekiel's tended those trees since my kids were small." Thornton's expression softened, just a fraction. Vance tried to counter, demanding a surveyor, but Thornton waved him off. "We'll get to that. Mr. Harper, where did you study law?" "Carver Law School, Mississippi, class of 78, Ezekiel said. "It's gone now, but it taught me enough to know when someone's trying to pull a fast one." A man in the back, another veteran, let out a single clap. Thornton didn't stop him. She leaned forward. "Proceed." The first climax came when Ezekiel revealed a 2006 survey shifting the boundary 5 feet onto his land. "No public notice, no hearing. I request a judicial review of this change," he said. Vance scrambled, asking for a continuance, but Ezekiel cut in. "They've had 6 months. They cut down 2 of my trees last week." He held up photos of fresh stumps. Thornton's eyes narrowed. "Mr. Caldwell, did your team do this?" Caldwell, sweating, mumbled about a rogue contractor. Thornton wasn't buying it. "Don't play games in my court." The tension spiked again when Ezekiel questioned the developer's permits. He dug through city records and found Caldwell's permits used an outdated parcel number, invalid since 2011. "No variance was granted for construction that close to my lot," he said. Vance moved to strike, but Thornton shut him down. "This warrants investigation." Just then, a city official slipped in, handing Thornton an envelope. She read it, her face hardening. "The city confirms the permits are invalid. All construction stops now." The gallery buzzed. Caldwell whispered furiously to Vance, who stood. "We'd like to settle." Ezekiel's voice was steel. You had your chance before you touched my trees. Those fed my family. You saw an old man and thought I wouldn't fight. Thornton turned to Ezekiel. Are you seeking damages? He shook his head. Just restore what's mine and leave it be. She nodded. Noted. Then, a young law student, Marcus Tate, stood nervously. Your Honor, I'm a second-year student at Montgomery Law. Mr. Harper showed me today that law isn't just roll-sit standing up when they try to bury you. The room murmured approval. Thornton, in a rare move, spoke softly. When I find Mr. Harper, I was wrong. I saw a medal, not the man. I rescind the fine and apologize. She looked at Ezekiel. Your silver star didn't disrupt this court, it reminded us of sacrifice. Court adjourned, but the energy lingered. Outside, a crowd clapped as Ezekiel stepped into the dusk, his granddaughter, Lila, running to him. Did they take the trees, Grandpa? He smiled. Not all of them, sweetheart. We'll plant more. Reporters swarmed, but Ezekiel waved them off. I'm not here for fame. I'm here because I'm tired of being invisible. The next day, the Montgomery Herald ran his story. Veterans Fight Saves Land, Exposes Flaws. It went viral, shared millions of times. Veterans groups called, letters poured in, some with pecan seeds, others with stories of their battles. A 16-year-old wrote, You made me believe the law could work for people like me. Ezekiel read it, tucking it into his jacket. On his porch, sipping coffee, he got a visitor. Thornton, no robe, just a blazer. The land's yours officially, she said, handing him a letter. And I'm sorry again. They talked, her admitting she'd hardened over the years of fighting for respect. Ezekiel nodded. I get it. But you listened today. That's enough. She offered him a spot on a new city legal board. He chuckled. You want these old eyes reading fine print. She smiled. We need eyes that see justice. He agreed. Weeks later, the city named the board after him, the Ezekiel Harper Equity Panel. He didn't attend the ceremony but sent a note. Justice isn't a gift, it's a duty. His story sparked reviews of shady land deals nationwide. Ezekiel kept planting, his granddaughter by his side, new pecan saplings taking root where the old ones fell. In Montgomery's community garden, a small plaque reads, He held his ground so others could grow. Ezekiel Harper didn't just win a case, he reminded a nation that truth, wielded quietly, can shake the foundations of power. What do you think about Ezekiel's fight? Have you faced injustice or seen someone stand against it? Share your thoughts below, especially on how we confront violence and unfairness in our lives. Take a stand, speak your truth, let's keep this conversation alive.